I'm Alexandra and welcome back to my channel. Today is my January wrap-up, so basically all the books I have read in January. And this year I'm trying to write them all in a journal, so we'll see how the rest of the year goes, but I followed it for January, so I'm gonna go through the books that I've read. It's 10 books, all by order. So the first book I did finish this year. Oh no, I almost dropped everything. So I finished Erotic Stories for Punjabi Widows. I rated this 3 stars. You're following this woman who starts to teach storytelling to a bunch of older women who are Punjabi, so Indian women who are widows. So they lost their husband and they're trying to learn how to tell stories basically, but most of them don't know how to write and read, so they're just telling them, and it's erotic stories, and the teacher wasn't expecting this, but it was good. I'm reading what I wrote, so I said that the writing was pretty bad, which is true. The story in itself was pretty interesting. They're also trying to figure out a bunch of like kidnappings and people who died and all of that, so that was interesting. But overall, it's not the best book I have read this year. It wasn't the worst one either. It was good, it just wasn't amazing. This is also in the shorter books I have read, so it's less than 300 pages. And then a book I DNF'd, put it down, didn't finish. It's Anita de Monte Laughs Last by Yoshild Gonzalez, and this is the second book I'm trying by this writer, and I DNF'd the first one, DNF'd the second one. I'm done. It's just so bad. There's a bunch of racist comment, I'm gonna say it, racist against white people, which I mean for some people is not a problem, but for me it is. Any form of racism is not good, so I'm gonna call it out. It was racist. It was also anti-men. Clearly this person hates men. You feel this in her, there, whatever, the books I have read. I DNF'd this at 15%, which is further along than I DNF'd the first book. I think the first book I DNF'd it at like 8%, so you know, better. But this was part of one of my challenges, so the Goodreads Choice Awards for historical fiction. And also when I went online and looked at the reviews for this book, people said that it's based on someone who existed. I don't remember, I think it was a painter or something, but this writer never talked to the family of this person. So it's kind of strange. You're writing a book about someone who existed and you don't go and talk to people who knew her. Kind of strange. Anyway, so did not finish that book. And then I went through young adult book. This is Mini Shopaholic by Sophie Kinsella. I rated this 3 stars. It was not that good during the book. Like, I feel like I'm done with young adult. Is it young adult or more like younger teenagers? But it's just like I don't feel like there's depth to the characters. I have read the last book in this series and I think the ending was worth it, and again in this one kind of enjoyed the ending. Like things happens and you feel like Becky, don't remember, Becky has some challenges, like she's a shopaholic, but the ending shows that she might be working through that. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't that bad, but it's a 3 stars. I think I have 2 books in this series left to read, but pretty sure none of them are gonna be 5 stars. So I think they're all gonna be around 3 stars. So not a surprise with this one. Then 4th book I finished was a French book. Translated in French. So this is I think it's called The Silent Wife. Yeah, The Silent Wife by Karen Slaughter. This almost made it to 5 stars. Oh yeah, I remember now. You're following this group of people that are trying to figure out kidnappings and rapes and murder. it's a thriller, but I enjoyed it. Also, there's like a romance that didn't feel too much, which is nice because sometimes you read a thriller, there's a romance, but like it's just too much. You're not reading a romance book. So I really enjoyed that one. I said I really enjoyed the plot line, which is true. The writing, even if it was translated, so I read this in French, it was translated from English by Sawad Degashi and Maxime Sheledy. So I'm thinking about giving this writer, Karen Slaughter, a chance. So if you have read anything by her that you really enjoyed, please let me know, because I will see if I can get it from the library and figure out if I enjoyed this writer or it was just the book that worked for me. But 4.5 stars. It was a good book. Okay. Then I did finish another audiobook, again in the historical fiction of the Goodreads Choice Award. It was the Paris novel by Ruth Rekel, and I gave this a 3 stars. The first part of the book I really enjoyed. I like the people, the plot lines, everything that was happening. I enjoyed it very much. So basically you're following this woman who just lost her mother, and her mother gave her a strange things to do, so she has to go to France to figure out a bunch of things. So she goes to France, and she's just trying to see what her mom wanted her to find out, and she finds out people that knew her mom and all of that. So that was interesting, but the last part of the book was boring. Okay, I had trouble finishing that book, which is sad because the first part was so nice that I was expecting such a good book, but sadly it just didn't work. It's very, very sad. But I mean, if I just look at the first part, it would have been like a 4.5 stars, but the last part is around a 1.5 stars. Honestly, it was hard to pick up the audiobook to listen to. Usually in the morning I start my day by drinking my coffee and playing The Sims while listening to my audiobook. I would put music because I just didn't want to listen to it. So sad. Anyways, another DNF. This month I put down 2 books because it just wasn't working for me. So this time it is the Vampire Diaries. The Return Volume 3, Midnight, it's called. And I DNF'd it at page 232 out of 567. This is the last ever book of the Vampire Diaries, and it just was completely horrible. Okay, so I wrote, I'm quoting myself here, this was just straight off bad. I didn't care about anything in this book. The story, didn't care. The characters, didn't care. Luckily, it's the last book of the series, so I'm done with this. It was bad. Just, I'm gonna keep it though, because maybe one day I'll have kids and they're interested in reading the Vampire Diaries. I almost have them all and they are hardbacks. I bought them used, but I'm gonna keep it. Maybe. I mean, we'll see. Maybe my kids are gonna be like, I don't like reading. We'll see. But for now, I'm gonna keep it, even though I didn't finish it. Then one of my challenges this year is reading one Brandon Sanderson a month, and I started my year by reading the second book in the Mistborn trilogy. It's called The Well of Ascension, and this is the first 5 stars of the year. I absolutely loved this book. I read the first Mistborn. I wasn't that into this trilogy. I preferred the Stormlight Archives, but now, this was amazing. It might even be my favorite Brandon Sanderson. But I need to calm down because I haven't read everything by Brandon Sanderson, so we'll see. But honestly, this was amazing. In my review I just said it was amazing and I have nothing else to say. If you've never read Brandon Sanderson, read him because it's absolutely amazing. And this month I'm reading the next book. It's called The Hero of Ages, so we'll see. But that was amazing. Then I read a book that I also rated 3 stars. This is 3-Day Road by Joseph Boyden. And the thing is, I went into this book with high expectations because I had read prior to this a short story by him that I absolutely loved. So I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be so nice. It's a full-length novel. I'm gonna enjoy this so much. And the thing is, I enjoyed the writing. Okay, the writing was great, but the story, it was I don't know, like, it was very dark but also very true. Like, the things that happened in this sounds like normal things that you would see in this context. So basically you're following this guy who is going through war, First World War, and he's talking about what happened in his family before, the moment he's at war, and when he comes back. And all of this feels true, but it's just, I don't know, like, it just wasn't for me, sadly. And I feel like some people might enjoy this. I think it could be worth 5 stars if it works for you, but it's just so dark, so many like animals, and I hate this. I know it's like nature and all of that, but it just didn't work for me, okay? But I think if you're interested in reading more like historical fiction from World Wars, World War One, and Native people in Canada, this is great, but just be warned, it's very dark. Then I did finish a book that was on my TBR pile for a while, and it is Assassin's Apprentice. And listen, I was very stressed about reading this because it's more a classic fantasy, and you know, by a woman. It's Robin Hood is a woman. I was very excited, but sadly it just didn't work for me. I rated it a 3 stars, so it's not too bad, but like, I'm not gonna read the rest of the series. I don't know, like, as much as I love fantasy, I feel like older fantasy just doesn't work for me. This is like, I don't know, this was published in 1995 or 96, I believe. It says 1995, so I wasn't even born. I was born in 1996, okay. And I don't know, it just didn't work. The other more classic fantasy I read was Game of Thrones, and I absolutely hated that one. So I don't think I'm gonna read any more classic fantasy. And from what I've been hearing about other people talking about their experience with classic fantasy, it just wasn't working for them either. So I think I'm gonna not read any other classic fantasy. So now for the last book I finished this last night, okay? It's The Frozen River by Ariel Lawhon, and I gave it again a 3 stars. Apparently this month I gave a lot of 3 stars. So in this book, you're following this woman who is a midwife in the 18th century, so right, like, it's in Boston, right around the independence of the United States. And the thing is, when I read the little thing, it says that it was good for fans of Claire from Outlander, and no, completely different persons. Yes, she's a midwife in the 18th century, but apart from that, nothing. So I went into this with high expectations because I absolutely love Outlander, but like, it just, no. And I feel like I might have enjoyed this more if I hadn't read this little part, because like, it wasn't that bad. And also it's inspired by a real woman. So I don't know, it just, unfortunately for me, my expectations were too high for this book. But yeah, overall, I think I had a very good reading month in January, and I'm very excited for the rest of the year because it started strong and I'm back into reading. I'm enjoying so much like reading books right now, so hopefully it can stay like that. But yeah, it's gonna be it for this video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon in another video.